do some intro really quick. Good afternoon, y'all, or wherever you're at. Good morning, good evening. Um, I am myself down here in Georgia, man. I always want to thank you wherever you are, anywhere on the globe. Just thank you for coming here to spend time with us today. This platform is continuously dedicated, just educating, empowering, motivating, informing, and just putting people in a position where they can know what's going on. Today we are discussing my brother's case. My brother Jefferson Elie, aka Poetic. Somebody where I want to be clear. We're not saying an individual is saying he's innocent, but we are saying an individual holds himself accountable and has been working extremely hard for over 2 decades. We're also saying that over 183,000 people are in support of his release from incarceration. Um, so that's the question we want everybody to just kind of pay attention to. We'll talk more about his story here, and then not just about his story, we'll also be talking about, over sentencing, maybe some different laws. And then if you guys got any questions, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions too. Um, Poe, I know you've been on here for a couple minutes. I don't know if you can call back or not. Hopefully you can. But real quick, man, if you can, just go ahead and introduce yourself. If you want to let people know where you're at, what your situation is, just like, basic need to know, man. Because I've been kind of talking about you, but please let people know who you are.
charge, you automatically have 3 years, and they can't suspend it. Um, every other gun charge after that is 5, and they can't suspend it. So I was given 38 years just for the gun charges alone because of the 7 people out there. Even though I didn't have 7 guns, and even though it was one incident, and then I was given 12 years for the shooting. One of my other co-defendants was given the same amount of time, 50 years. The juvenile that was with us, he was like a year younger than us. He was given 41 years, and the guy that never got out of the car um, cooperated with the Commonwealth. He was given, I think, 10 years, 9 years, or something like that. And let me be clear when I say that they fabricated about the robbery. I don't say that to justify what I did because I don't know if you said it on this one or on the TikTok, but you said that I'm not getting up here claiming my innocence. I was wrong for going out there seeking revenge on anybody. I was wrong for owning a gun or even taking it out there, even though my intent was not to rob anybody or shoot anybody for that matter. I still possessed a gun, and that was illegal and wrong. So I'm not trying to justify or say anything like that. I'm just trying to explain what my thought was at that time as a 19-year-old kid, thinking that, okay, what I'm doing is I'm taking up for somebody that was wrong and beat. So, with that being said, we sentenced to, like I said, 138 years, 88 suspended, had to do 50. What happened after that was dealing with the appeal process. Had to go through a lot of different appeal processes or whatever, and everything got turned down. The judge that sentenced me is no longer a judge. The last I've heard, she was a defense attorney. Yeah, that's pretty much how I ended up here in prison.
Let me ask you this. And my fault, anybody, but I get the audio did come on. People are saying you deserved an appeal and to be set free. At your hindsight now, how old are you now? That was 19 when the incident occurred. How old are you now?
I'm 44.
So 44, 19. What are your thoughts in regards to where you how aware were you of the moment as everything went down up until your time of sentencing when it comes to just where you were at in your mind as a teenager?
Well, at the time, like I said, in my mind, somebody did something to somebody that I had love for.
Right.
They did something to a friend of mine, and what they did was a crime. So being in the streets, so to speak, or whatever, is like somebody do something illegal, you do something illegal. So in my mind, it was just like, I was just retaliating. I was doing what they would have done. So when I got locked up and I'd seen all of these charges, the magnitude of what I was facing didn't hit me. I had no idea that was going to be the case because, like I said, I'd never been locked up before. I haven't done any juvenile time, and that's the thing too. So when you get into the jail, a lot of the people that are in the jail with you have been in jail before and been in juvenile facilities, so on and so forth. So a lot of the things that they might be accustomed to, I was oblivious to. The people tell you, they read you your Miranda rights and tell you you have the right to remain silent or whatever. And then they ask you, do you understand that? And you say, yeah, because you've seen it on TV a million times. But do you really understand what that means? And at that time, I didn't. When they tell you you have a right to an attorney, do you understand or comprehend what that means? And at that time, I didn't. So I didn't realize how serious it was until getting close to once I got convicted. Once I got convicted, I knew how real it was because it was explained to me what mandatory sentences are. So once I got convicted of all of those gun charges, I knew the least amount of time that I was going to have to do was 38 years.
That's crazy. That was the same amount of time that I was facing for my gun charges when I was going to court. I want to ask you this because you just spoke on, and I know because as a 19-year-old kid, teenager, when I was going, I did not understand the legal system. I did not understand my rights. Therefore, it was virtually impossible for me to have an actual legal defense that I could have, requested that I know I needed in hindsight. When it comes to your journey behind the wall, right, and just because we're talking about second chances, why people are deemed as such. What have you been doing individually, or do you want to highlight other individuals behind the wall that are maybe doing longer sentences that are also doing great work, just so people understand that there's people behind there doing great work, just not in there but outside of the community as well?
Yeah, like, so for me, I my focus and my motto is when people ask me what I'm doing, I say staying positive and productive, trying to prove every day that I no longer belong in prison. So, like I said, I recognize the role I played. I recognize what I did was wrong. It was illegal, and I wasn't using intelligence. I was a dumb kid for the most part. So, and here it came to a point where it was like, yo, you was sentenced and dealt with extreme circumstances. So now you have to do extreme things in order to get out of prison. And when I came to that realization, like I was never a bad kid or a criminal kid anyway. I wasn't in the streets as some people would say. Like that gun that I had, it was the first gun and the only gun I ever had, and the only reason I had it is because a guy pulled a gun out on me 2 times in a row, 2 days in a row, and after the second day, I was like, man, ain't nobody putting no gun on me no more like that. Like I didn't like that feeling, so that's the only reason I had a gun. But in here, what I started to do is, I did a lot of reading, and I, started seeking out individuals that wasn't into a lot of stuff that would make my time worse or whatever. But once I came to the conclusion that all right, I've done too much time. It's time to get up out of here. I started to try to be real creative and productive. That's when I wrote the children's book, The Youth for Our Future. I wrote 3 children's books actually, and I got one of them published. I started and founded a nonprofit organization called We God in the Community Inc., which stands for Weaving Education, Genealogy, Occupation, and Destiny. Um, Put together some events in the neighborhoods that I grew up in, and that's the kind of area that we've been catering to with the nonprofit so far. Of course, with the help of my team, I have a beautiful team that helps me organize these events and things. I'm a teacher's aide for the Productive Citizenship class, which is the class that up here at Lawrenceville that they make individuals take prior to going home, which is supposed to be helping them deal with acclimating themselves to the streets once they return to society to be productive members of society. During my incarceration, I've always maintained a job, whether that was a houseman helping clean up the pod or a kitchen work. I worked in the kitchen in multiple situations. I was on the maintenance crew for many years. I had a custodial maintenance trade when I was at Sussex. At Sussex, I was also anger management teacher's aide. So I've always maintained a job, and just doing little things like here, I've participated in many talent shows or sometimes individuals, different organizations, whether it's the Christian community or the Nation of Islam or whatever, Rastafarian community, they might have an event and ask me to, perform at the event. I used to, do a lot of rapping, spoken words, so I would do stuff like that. And most recently, during Lawrenceville's opioid epidemic up here, me and one of my brothers, Lord Sirius, we created a substance abuse program called 10 Toes Down, which was created to help combat the opioid epidemic up here. And it was utilized in one of the drug programs they had up here.
Yeah. No, I wanted you to highlight that because it's like phases, right? You speak about your mindset before, during the incident, and you even highlighted the fact that you was like, okay, I gotta wholeheartedly move this direction. It's been years that you've been, consistently moving a positive direction. You're impacting the community now, which is it's impossible to do that. People that are free don't do that, a lot of times by choice. What do people need to know about over sentencing, real quick, and how it affects, people as a whole or society?
Well, I would say when you're dealing with over sentencing, because when you look at the justice system, and when you think of justice, the first thing that comes to my mind is just, reasonable, fair, sufficient. So if the justice system is about rehabilitation, then all you are really trying to do is correct a behavior and correct a mentality, or correct the mentality, which subsequently will correct the behavior of that mentality. So in doing that, the goal is to get an individual to see that what he did was wrong, to accept.
You have 1 minute remaining.
To accept responsibility for what he did, which was wrong, and then to move in the opposite direction. But if you give a person who made, say, a first-time offender like myself, 50 years for a crime where no life was lost, and then, I told you before, I've been around individuals that had 2 murders. Like, they are known, they admit, I killed 2 people, and they have less time than I have.
Yeah.
For individuals, and as graphic as it may sound, I'm going to drive home the reality of it. I was next door to a guy who killed his own grandmother with a hammer and had the same amount of time that I had. You know what I'm saying? So if it's about rehabilitation, then are we really surveying these people to see what changes they are making? Are they being productive? Are they being healthy?
Are you able to call back or no?
Thank you for using GTL.
Guess I'll wait around and see if he can call back. Yeah, that's somebody that's incarcerated, living in real time behind the wall. It's funny, again, accountability is at the forefront of all this. And when you look at countries like Germany, there's a rehabilitation curriculum in place which says an individual that's incarcerated will only serve this amount of time, because by this amount of time, they'll complete the curriculum and they'll be rehabilitated. If prison's about rehabilitation, then there should be something like that in place. I'm not saying individuals that everybody should be let free, because monsters do exist, but
hello, this is a prepaid.
And let me know if you guys can still hear him.
An inmate at the Virginia Department of Corrections, Lawrenceville Correctional. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using GTL.
Yeah. So we were talking about rehabilitation or over sentencing. So, and I know the phone call ended. What's going on, Positive Vibes?
I want to, there's something else I want to say too.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about rehabilitation and what the purpose of it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the real purpose, I think one of the things that needs to be done is like the powers that be, whether that's legislators, whether that's DOC officials, whether that's judges, lawyers, or whatever, became a principal of a beautician school. You got this positive content. You're speaking. You started the life. You got people like Paul Taylor out there who had a life sentence, came home and look at the things he's doing with the VA Streets basketball league. You got brothers like Sincere with Reform going to the General Assembly. You got Kenneth Hunter, Poppy, Martinez, all of these different individuals. And I don't want to leave anybody out, but when you see these individuals and the things that they're doing, you have to recognize that these individuals have been rehabilitated. Yeah. So you see the work, you see the things that they're doing. So then you need to listen to them.
Let me ask you this, and I don't know if you was on the phone or not when I had said this to the earlier live. I don't know if you had called in. Oftentimes, we're asked to be a part of the reentry process or the healing process in there, right? Like we're asked to be mentors, programs, etc. But then a lot of the same brothers, we're not really given an opportunity to walk out the door. Like, what's your thought in that? To me, it's not logical. Where you can say somebody's creating a program that can help people, overcomes, substance abuse or can help in reentry, but they can't walk out the door yet themselves. What are your thoughts?
That's one of the most frustrating things about prison. A lot of the things that they use as rules or standards doesn't make sense. Like you're saying that you want me to be in charge of basically helping individuals go home and be productive citizens. So you have me doing all of these things, but yet you don't say that I'm able to do that myself. But you've entrusted me with that. It's almost like I remember one time I was trying to. It was a program that I was trying to get started, and it was a debate club program. I was basically trying to get the institution to institute formal debates, right? And so at the time, each building had multiple basketball teams in the building, so it's 6 buildings up there. So each team had an A and a B team at least. So those teams would play each other in the gym and outside in competitive basketball games. So I wanted to do the same thing with formal debates. And I, drew up a proposal, and I was telling people, or in the proposal I was speaking about how formal debates can not only help prisoners with conflict resolution and problem solving by utilizing their voices and their intelligence as opposed to handling things physically, but it would also broaden individuals' horizons because you have to read and study in order to be able to debate the topics. And then sometimes you have to debate or argue for things that you don't necessarily agree with, but you still have to figure out, how do I present this argument? Even though I don't agree with it, how do I present this argument in a believable way to convince somebody to agree with what I'm saying, which forces you to look at things from other people's perspective, or at least alternate perspectives. So when I pushed that, one of the first things I was told, oh man, something like that is going to cause fights. So I was like, so you can have people running up down the court, jumping on top of each other, bowing each other, and you're not worried about them having fights. But something like this, you're worried about somebody getting into a fight. So a lot of times, man, the things that they say make no sense, and you'll put a person in position to do something. It's like Louis Sirius had asked the person in charge, the warden of the programs, he has requested a microscope to deal with science projects. Like he wanted to utilize the microscope to show individuals, different things with cells, microscopic
You know,
to help educate somebody on science.
you know what I seen right there? They'll give you the tools to make sure the prison stay up and don't fall down, but they will not give you the tools that'll help you escape that place or leave that place, you know, as far as staying out, being positive, productive, getting a job, etc. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
You know,
And I want to say, because it's not everybody, man. You got a lot of people out there that's associated with the Department of Corrections,
mm-hmm.
associated with the judicial system, penal system, that sees, okay, everybody doesn't deserve to be here. Everybody doesn't deserve to be here for the rest of their life. You know?
Yeah, for sure. And shout out to the ones that I always take the time. I had the opportunity to speak at an event. There was people from DLC in the building. I want to take the time out to thank them. We need y'all in spaces and conversations like this. You know, we need you to see voices and perspectives in a different light than just seeing them come across the desk on a file or, you know. So yeah, thanks. Kudos to all the people that are part of the legal process, the justice system, that are, you know, operating the right way. Because the justice system we know has to be here. We're not saying again like prison should not exist. We're talking about the system. We're talking about over sentencing. We're talking about rehabilitation, having to be at the forefront. And Poetic, another thing I had mentioned, I don't think you were on the call. Countries like Germany, they have a rehabilitation curriculum, which means you're only going to serve X amount of time. And they know that by the time you complete that curriculum, you're good to go to come home. Like, what are your thoughts like on that? Like, do you think something like that could work over here? Or do you think our society, I've never been to Germany, I don't know what their crime problems are like over there, but what would you do as far as criminal justice reform or rehabilitation if you had the opportunity to be a voice and say, this will help people?
Well, I've always felt like it's idiotic to say, I want you to come out here and be a productive citizen. But while you're incarcerated, I'm going to treat you as subhuman. I'm going to treat you less than humane. So I don't know if this is the same country. I don't know if it was Germany or not. I can't remember. But it was a documentary I seen on PBS, and it was definitely a European country. It was somewhere like Netherlands or something like that. I can't remember. But they were talking about how the prisons there are like the cells are not cells. They look like college dorms. Mm-hmm. They had real live house plants. They had paintings. They had all these different things. Individuals were allowed to go about freely. And he said the reason that they did that is because to treat or expect somebody to be humane to other people, you have to be humane to them. And I remember that they had a warden from, I think, a Philadelphia prison come and observe how they did things there. And then they talked about the crime rate and the recidivism rate in this particular place, and it was extremely low. So they asked the warden from Philadelphia, can you see something like this working in the States? And, you know, you just seen the look on his face, and he just kind of chuckled like, yeah, like, I mean, you know, I've learned some things, and there's definitely some things I will consider. But, yeah, I don't see this working. Like I said, you know, on the TikTok, the last call we had, I think that the Department of Corrections, the judicial system, those individuals have to start meeting with individuals like yourself, the Paul Taylors, the Ceciles, the individuals that have done extensive time, and rehabilitate themselves and made a complete 180 change and are out there doing it for a living. Like, y'all do this for a living. So y'all know people that you can, like, you know when somebody is rehabilitated, man. Somebody is remorseful for what they did, as opposed to somebody that's just, you know, putting on the show because somebody is watching. Like, y'all know.
Yeah.
And you have to work with they have to start working with individuals like y'all, man, to come up with solutions. And I'm not saying they have to just sit there and listen to you and them and whatever y'all say go. But it has to be a meeting of the minds, man. It has to be people that sincerely and genuinely want to see rehabilitation as a real thing working together. It has to be. And it has to come from both sides.
Fact. I want to ask you this. I've never asked you this, and if you don't want to answer this, obviously you don't have. I can't tell you what to do. But first, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on victim impact? Have you ever taken that program?
I've never been anywhere where they have that program. From my understanding, they're about to implement that here, but this camp is going under an extreme makeover. So, according to what I've been hearing, I probably won't be here when they institute that program. But I've been told about it. It's a guy in here. He's an individual that's been locked up for over 20 years. He was locked up as a juvenile. This brother, man, been completed so many programs and so many vocations and things like that. He talked to me about that program. He actually had a book on it, so I've been reading the book. And even though they don't have the course here, I can, just see what the course is about through that book. So wherever I go, if they have it, I'm definitely try to sign up for it.
Right. Facts.
What was the other question?
Well, I was gonna say Victims Impact. It's a program that teaches about the magnitude, or how we sometimes don't we think past. It teaches you to think past the initial impact of the crime that we may have been a part of.
Just that one person. Yeah, that's what he was talking to me about.
Right.
So he showed me where it deals with each chapter is a particular crime, and it shows you like the ripple effects, the cause and effect. Like if you go in a grocery store and you rob the grocery store, and your mind, you may just be like, well, only person I affected was the store. And then it would go into where not only did the store lose money, but the cashier might have been traumatized. So now the cashier is starting to have, different effects at home, which is affecting that child, so on and so forth. And then you locked up, so now your parents and your children and your siblings are affected. So yeah, I definitely think it's an important program to have. I definitely want to be a part of that.
Yeah, I just want to get your perspective on it, because I want to ask you this, something I never asked you before. In the program, they say it's not a good idea to reach out directly to anybody that may have been impacted by the crime. But if you could say anything in letter form, or just, I don't know, is there any message you would want to be the families or family to know, or just anybody that may have been impacted by that circumstance or situation? Do you care to share? Or
yeah, he had shared that with me too. The guy I was talking about, he had told me that that's one of the things they tell you: never reach out to the victims of your crime. And when he first said that, I paused, and I don't like to just speak and say anything. I like to think about things before I say it. So I was trying to sit there and assess, like, how do I feel about that? Because first and foremost, I've reached out to a couple of the victims from my case when I was at the jail. I wrote a letter to them, and suffice it to say that didn't go too well. I was, apologetic, but I think, me personally, and I'm no victim impact specialist, but me personally, my initial thought was, I think that is situational. I think some victims would like to be reached out to, or would like to have that conversation. But I think it's the victim's right to make that decision. You know what I'm saying? So I understand them not reaching out, especially without permission. But I think to say that all victims would prefer that you not reach out or don't want to have that dialogue. Maybe they don't want you to reach out, but they do want to have that dialogue. I don't know. Me personally, any message that I would give is that when I did what I did, I was 19, man. I was a kid. I know 19 is, society say at 18 you're an adult or you're of age, but I was inexperienced 19. I was a kid mentally. I never lived on my own. Never had to deal with take care, no bills or no other people, or no real responsibilities. I had a job. I go to work, and every check give mom Dukes a few dollars. You know what I'm saying? So I would just say that I'm definitely remorseful for what happened, and the way things ended up happening, I never meant for it to happen, and I'm not the same person that I was 25 years ago. I can't begin to fathom what any of those victims dealt with or had to deal with over the years, but I just hope that they found strength in being able to overcome it, man.
I think it's real. And thank you for sharing. That's not necessarily something easy to say on letter form or out loud. And you didn't have to answer that, but I just wanted to give you opportunity. You never know who's going to see what. And as much as this call was about you, your case, it's also about countless others, teenagers, 18 to 22-year-old, young adult window that seems to be really volatile for young people here in our country. Message to young people, message to people that are going down a potentially bad path. Can you give one before the end of this call?
Yeah, one of the things I always like to say, man, trouble is easy to get into, hard to get out of. A lot of times when we're younger, our parents, our grandparents, uncles and stuff, they'll tell us stuff, and we think they just, nagging us or whatever, but they telling us the things that they witnessed and experienced. If I can prevent any individual that's 19 like I was, or even younger, from going down or making that path or that mistake, a lot of individuals, we do stuff like in my situation.
You have 1 minute remaining.
I definitely, let me call you back because I definitely need to get this out. All right.
No problem.
Thank you for using GTL.
He's gonna call back to finish up that last part of that question, man. Again, not innocence, accountability, work towards rehabilitation, man. A lot of things, you know what I'm saying? There's countless individuals that have grown. You understand what I'm saying? That are people that made bad decisions, but they're not bad people. You know what I'm saying? Maurice Lample said, my cousin was a 16-year-old sentenced as an adult to 35 years. Things like this need to be examined. If rehabilitation is the purpose, and I know some crimes are more severe than others, at what point do we think it should just automatically be this individual is no longer going to be in society?
An inmate at the Virginia Department of Corrections, Lawrenceville Corrections. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using GTL.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what I was about to say is, you were saying anything I would say to those individuals, to keep them from making that mistake or whatever. The thing that we never really think about or consider when we make these decisions is the impact and the effect of the cause. So what I mean by that is, like, in my situation, I told you, we went to retaliate against the individuals that had did something to a cousin of mine, right? Now, he didn't ask me or my co-defendants to do that. So I'm not saying that he did, but in my sense of okay, this my man, this my brother, this my cousin or whatever, my friend. This is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
The street code, things like that. So when it happened, and we got all this time, October 9th, October 10th, 1998. I haven't talked to him, heard from him, got a letter from him, a visit from him in the whole 25 plus years that I've been incarcerated.
That's eye-opening.
A lot of the people that I was with every day, I'm talking about guys that I hung with every day, sat, smoked and drank with, stayed over their house with, never heard from them the whole time I was locked up. Little girls my age that I was running around with, didn't hear from them. These are the things that you don't think about. And the reality is, and what I had to come to realize is that all of the people I just talked about, my cousins, my homeboys, the girls I was dealing with, none of them owe you nothing because ultimately you made a decision that altered your life.
Right.
So a lot of times we expect people to alter their lives for the decision that we made. And, being locked up, you get all that time and you're sitting there and you're dealing with these circumstances and these conditions in here. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for comfort. You're looking for peace. You're looking for tranquility through the people that you know and love and felt like you had a bond with. But the reality is, man, that the majority of them are not going to be there. Family. I mean, I have family and all types of stuff that I have never talked to the whole time I've been locked up or never seen. And once again, like I said, now I'm mature enough to understand that the decision I made created, the potential for those things to take place. So I'm not bitter about it now. But being young, being 20 years old, 21 years old, being in the mountains and stuff like that, you ain't really trying to hear that. You just like, yo, these people doing me wrong. Why ain't nobody coming to see me? Why ain't nobody sending me no money? And a lot of individuals, man, we put loyalty to the wrong things. You know what I'm saying? We feel obligated to the wrong things.
Yeah. No reset button, man. A lot of these youngins screaming gang, they not gonna be your gang when you in that police station. I'm gonna tell you that. You facing 100 years, and they saying you can go home for dinner, or telling your people they gonna tell you what they gonna tell your home. They gonna tell your homeboy you can be home for dinner, or you can do these 100 years. You can give them to your friend over there, tell on him, or go home.
I just seen situations where two friends get locked up for a crime, and say me and you get locked up for a crime together. They don't know which one of us did it, but they believe one of us did it. Now let's just say, man, I did it. I did the crime. You didn't.
Right.
But they come to you and ask you to put it on me, but you loyal. You like, nah, I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing. You don't put it on me, but they come to me and tell me, look, man, you can go home, like you said, you can go home, you be home for dinner. All you gotta do is put it on him. Now I done did the crime. But because I know you loyal, you ain't gonna say nothing. I put it on you, man. You doing my shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen that.
Yeah. That's what's scary when we're young and we feed into the street code. You know what I'm saying? We feed into these stereotypes, and what we feeding into is not real. And the brave ones, it's our youth, it's our brave children that are ending up in prison or dying. And that's what's scary, because when you think about it, these ones with, and it's a weird perspective, but the ones that won't tell on their brother, you may not, and I'm not saying what you agree with snitching or not, but those are the ones that in their mind they're doing something honorable and good. They're not betraying their brother. And if we can catch them and cultivate them, those are your leaders right there. Right there. They already got it. they already got it. But those are the ones that are being targeted through the system and conditioning. Because it's a lot going on, man. You don't get me fired up with another bill, bro. Because it's real.
Misguided, yeah, misguided. Because you see that even in here, you see that, man. You see a lot of these brothers that's in these organizations, and they loyal, they dedicated. They drop a hat, you tell them, yo, do this, and they doing it without question. But then the next thing you know, they up there in the mountains with an extra 2 years on their sentence, and the person that told them to go do it is sitting here eating zooms and wham-whams, having fun going to the visitation room. So if you can take that same heart, that same loyalty, and direct it towards something positive, like you said, those become the new leaders because they got the loyalty, they got the heart. They just don't have the direction. They don't have the positive people pushing them in the right direction.
Yeah,
but
right.
once again, that's why I say that the people, the powers that be, whether it's DOC, the judicial system, whoever, those individuals need to work with the individuals that have done these sentences and have gone out in their communities and know these individuals that can recognize those traits and those characteristics in these young brothers and sisters.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly, man. I don't know, bro. We are ending the near of the interview. Is there anything else that we haven't covered that you want to touch on? I want to make sure we touched on everything that you may have wanted to be heard on, and hopefully you'll be able to call back maybe once a week or once every couple of weeks and get back up on live or whatever and just lend your voice. But is there anything like specific I don't want to miss?
Yeah, definitely. I want to bring like I said, I started a nonprofit organization, We God in the Community Inc. And my reasoning for starting We God in the Community Inc. initially was because I thought about like when I was young. When I was young, I wanted to be when I was a kid, I wanted to be an architect and a pilot. And one day I was just sitting here thinking, I was like, dang, when did I stop wanting to do that? You know? And I looked at, coming from the areas that we come from, we want to be certain things, but we don't know anybody that are the things that we want to be. Like, I didn't know any architects. I didn't know any pilots. So I think sometimes after a while, those dreams start to fade. So my initial goal with WeGuard was, getting the youth and asking them what they want to be when they grow up. And then when they tell you what they want to be, immediately you start cultivating and nurturing whatever it is that they want to be. They want to be an architect, then you start taking them on field trips that's related to architecture. You start introducing them to people that's architects. And maybe down the line they change their mind, they want to be something else, which is cool. But whatever they want to be, you facilitate that as much as you can. So that was kind of like the origin of what made me want to create WeGuard. And then on top of that, focusing out in the Yorktown area. Before I moved to Newport News with, my mom, I grew up out in Yorktown, York Square Apartments. But the York Square, Yorkshire, Lackey area, I used to always be out of that area. And coming up, and then, maybe it's a lot, I know it's different now, but when I was coming up, we didn't have anything. We didn't have any stores close by. We didn't have any youth centers. We didn't have anything like that. So I wanted to focus out that area to expose kids to more things. Because I feel like the more options you get exposed to, the higher the percentage chance that you make better decisions. So what I wanted to focus on is since we started, we've done multiple events. We did the Youth for Our Future Community Day event out York. Well, we used to call it Shine, but it's called Woods of Yorktown. We did that last May, and we did a back to school event August out the same apartment complex last year. So what we did was the Youth for Our Future Community Day event. We made that an annual thing. So this year, the Youth for Our Future Community Day event will be June 23rd out in Square Rivermead Apartments. And what we're going to do this year, we're going to have speakers come out. We're going to have, we just confirmed yesterday that we have a judge. This is a sister, black sister, who is a judge that's going to come out and speak to the youth about her occupation. We have a woman who she is the lead psychologist for the sports department and the University of Maryland, who's going to come out and speak. We have a sister named Jasmine Smith, who is a multi-business owner as well as executive director for a nonprofit that does mentorship. She's going to come out and speak. And we also have a brother that is going to come out and speak about some very, very interesting history of Yorktown in that area, how Yorktown used to be a black community of free blacks before the abolishment of slavery. So we're going to be doing that June 23rd. We are also utilizing that event as a sign-up opportunity for 11th graders and 12th graders that want to participate in the 10-month program that we're going to be doing for kids who want to go to college. It's college preparation, but it's not just limited to college preparation. So it's a full-pronged program for kids that want to go to college, kids that may be considering enlisting in the military. I know life as a veteran. Kids that are looking for job placement, as well as kids that want to be their own entrepreneur and business owner. These four things are going to be available for all of the kids. So the program is not just going to be, well, if you want to go to college, then you're this part of the program. Those four things are going to be taught to all four. Those sections will be offered to 11th and 12th graders.
Yeah, that's freaking amazing. Basically, he just said he built a school in the hood. No, why did you? I want to ask you this. I mean, I work with We God. I'm grateful to be part of the team, but I wanted to ask you: was it specific in you wanting to do work in Yorktown, or was that circumstantial, or were you seeking to do work there specifically? And where do you envision We God going forward?
Well, no, that was specifically where I wanted to start.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to limit it to Yorktown, but I definitely wanted that to be ground zero for We God because, like I said, I lived out the square from first grade all the way to when I moved to Newport News. I think I moved to Newport News maybe the 11th grade, 10th or 11th grade.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of my first was out in Yorktown. That's where I grew up. That's where I learned a lot of the principles that I some still hold today. That was where I formed a lot of my first relationships and things of that nature. So I wanted to do that out there. And like I said, at the time that I was coming up, we didn't really have a lot of the things that we did for fun. We created on the fly out there, you know. As far as how far I see We God going, the ultimate goal is to have a school. I want to build a school for individuals in that area, K through 12. And what I want to do is deviate from the school norm, like, you know, growing up in Yorktown, or almost any public school in America that I know of. When I was coming up, being a black kid in a history class, for example, when you go to a history class, the first people you learn about are the Europeans that came over to America and colonized America. Or maybe you learn about the Greeks or the Romans, you know what I'm saying? As a black kid growing up, the first people, and this is not a racist thing or nothing like that, but as a black kid growing up in a history class, the first people you learn about are white people. And those white people you were taught are the civilizers of your people. They are the individuals that were brave, courageous, because they came to this new world and they established this great country, this great democracy, so so forth, which is okay, that's cool. But then the first time you ever learn about somebody that looks like you or learn about a black person, that black person is a slave, like, or was after slavery. I've never learned about any black person in school prior to slavery. And to me, subconsciously, that sends a message to that child that he's not even aware that he's receiving, because he's taught that these European colonizers were courageous, they were patriotic, they were fearless, they were all of these different things. And then the first time that they ever learned about a black person, that person is a slave to the person you just told them was patriotic, was brave, so on and so forth. So I want to deal with an educational curriculum that teaches about history chronologically. You know what I'm saying? It teaches about empires and civilizations that were created by black people thousands of years before Europeans came to colonize the shores of America. And these are realities. And if, you know, for the people that want to say, oh, that you're making it about race, I would challenge you by saying, well, if these civilizations did precede the European civilizations that colonized America, then why isn't it racist to only emphasize that if you had civilizations that were established by black people prior to? So I think that instills a certain level of pride in a child. You know what I'm saying? It will show him that he comes from people that were the originators of architecture, that were the originators of math, that were the originators of writing. You know what I'm saying? So when you start to see or associate that, yo, these are the people that I'm descended from, it instills, I believe, a sense of pride. That's why, you know, we guys.
Let me say this really quick because I want to respond to this comment.
Okay.
So Marcy, she said, I don't think it's like that anymore. They teach them young about positive people of color. They teach strategically about positive people of color. They don't really teach our history. And even now with law change like DEI and stuff like that, you're seeing specific parts of history related to black people being taken all the way out of curriculum, all the way out. And this is 2024. So I want everybody, as he's saying this, because I know race is a sensitive thing. He can't see the comments, and I'm always big on not bringing race and politics into the barbershop. But I want you guys to focus on this. Everybody has a start to their story. And whenever you take anything from that, you know, it just takes away the ability to know who a person is. So everybody should have that right. Black, brown, yellow, red, anything. Poe, any last words on this call before we bring this interview to a close?
I just want to thank each and everybody that is listening, each and everybody that reached out, that commented, that shared their opinion.
Thank you, everyone.
I want to thank everybody that has done time and is out there doing the right thing, man, being an example, showing that some people deserve second chance.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. I'm getting ready. Man, we got a good solid hour of conversation, and I'm glad you're able to call back to back to back. Hopefully I'll be able to talk to you soon and tell you about the feedback. But thank you to everyone that's been commenting. Thank you, Marcy. Positive vibes. I can't even see it. Jane, the zombie, Brenda Ortiz, all my Facebook users that I can't see. Everybody has been commenting, watching, interacting. My brother Asiatic, Andre Black, everybody. If you want information about his case, how you can support, you want access to the petition, etc., just email me, message me direct. And just hopefully, guys, if you've been impacted by any of this story, etc., we're just asking that you share this live. It'll be posted and you'll be able to share it. And just help us spread the word. It's not just necessarily about his story. It's about so many people's stories. Thank you for everybody that came over here. We're getting ready to get back up here Most definitely, Marcy. Hope so. Thank you, Jane. Positive vibes as well. Getting ready to start doing these interviews, getting them cranked back up over here. If y'all know, this is how I started over here on YouTube. Conversations, interviews, live streams. So we're getting ready to get back into that stuff. Podcast coming soon. All of it is going to be geared towards telling people stories that need to be heard, educating, empowering, and more. And we hope to see you there. Free my brother Poetic, aka Jefferson Elie, and every other individual that's deserving of a second chance that I believe has been over sentenced. Again, it's perception. You know, it's a good conversation, a good topic of discussion, but it does need to be examined. So hope to see you on the rest of these conversations. And man, if you'd like to find out more about what the Life Unit is doing, the nonprofit, you can follow me right on Facebook at the Life Unit, or you can email me at the Life Unit Inc. at gmail.com. But again, the Life Unit on Facebook, IG, everywhere. You can find out what we're doing there. More information on my brother's case as well. And I'll see y'all soon. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Peace.